How you doing?
Good, homie. How are you?
Not too bad.
Good, man.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
For the year-end review.
Yeah. So in this show, just so everybody knows, we're going to be doing pretty much like a year in review plus going over, I don't know, pretty much what we're trying to do for 2022. And I don't know, how would you say like this show has evolved so far? Because we've done like 30-something episodes, and it seems more and more like it's basically us going through our life and figuring shit out and then trying to share that with people. So
Yeah.
basically, I think that's what today is going to be is I've been thinking a lot about this year and just some of this kind of came about of like, okay, where was I at this time last year? And then the amount of shit that's changed, and then looking at that from the perspective of where will I be this time next year?
Yeah.
And I don't know, using that as a way to kind of help move forward for the next year and not be so worried like, will I figure this out? Will I not? It's like, it's just going to be different. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think there's much we need to figure out. I think it's just kind of rolling with what happens and, like you said, evolving with the next steps.
Yeah.
Dude, from what this podcast had started is us sitting in your dining room with some mattresses for padding to block out to cancel the noise, and
it was good. It was a good first episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
and now we somewhat know kind of what we're doing.
I think we're getting more into the flow of everything, and
Yeah.
that's kind of nice. At least we feel like we are, and maybe everybody listening is like, you guys have not gotten in the flow. And
Actually, it's gotten worse.
hey, well, then go fuck yourselves. How about that?
Yeah.
So you want to listen to our podcast anyway?
Too bad.
Too bad, you little bitch. So, dude, do you want to kick this off?
Yeah, let's do
all
it.
right, go for it.
All right. So I was looking at some timelines from this past year, just like different stuff. I didn't look in one place. It was like history.com, Wikipedia a little bit. And dude, I forgot how much stuff happened this year.
Even just in the world.
I guess I'm starting off with things that just happened in the world before we talk about our personal things, whatever. New president. This vaccine, younger and younger people are able to take it. By August, 4.3 million people had quit their jobs.
This year.
I don't know if it was just this year or if it was just in that month.
Whoa.
Regardless, crazy amount.
Yeah.
We pulled out of Afghanistan in September. Elon Musk became, I think, the richest guy for a while, $200 billion, which I don't know who is the richest now, if it's him or Bezos, but I think they kind of flip back and forth.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, depending on like if the stock goes up and things like that.
Yeah. And then after that, this is the thing that baffles me the most out of anything that we've kind of touched on this year, is that in October, and I'll have to look at the website and send it to you so you can put it in the reference section, that 80% of our currency was printed in the last 22 months. That article came out in October.
Yeah, because we've been talking about it that it's been like 40%, and now I saw that it's up to 80%. That's wild.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's kind of been a big – so all of these things, right, have been a big reason, I think, for me, what shaped where I want to go and what we've been talking about lately with all these different, like, cryptocurrencies and all this different kind of stuff of, like, where is everything going? Who's controlling the way that the world is moving forward? And, like, how do we avoid some of this, like, craziness that we're going through now? So that's been a big part of, like, what's shaping the way that I'm thinking about this stuff. But we were talking about before with the Afghanistan stuff, like, that was the first time that you'd heard of what I was talking about?
What do you mean?
With the hashtag about...
Oh, yeah. No, I had not heard anything about that before.
Dude, I just heard about that 3 weeks ago, that basically, like, so somebody explained it to me that he's like, you know how you heard about all these, like, American citizens being in Afghanistan and everything, and you're like, how did that happen? Like, where are all these people coming from? Like, how are there so many people in Afghanistan that are U.S. citizens? He's like, those are contractors and people that did like armed security and all these kinds of things, and all of a sudden they just got stuck there. So like people in our military were putting out like basically beacon calls over social media that said basically like, hey, if you've been in the military in the past, you're active, or like you've been basically like a mercenary or something along those lines, like come here and we're gonna run like unofficial missions and rescue these people. And they rescued a bunch of people, I guess.
Was it kind of like an undercover job?
I think so.
So why were they doing like a secret kind of hashtag, or was it just like people knew about it?
I guess a bunch of people knew about it. Just something to get the word out, to get enough people that would show up. So if you can get like a few hundred people or something along those lines to be able to fly over and fucking show up and help them extract these people, then you have enough like force to do it.
What were the results?
I don't know. I got to find out. I don't know.
There's probably people still over there.
I would imagine there's got to be people still over there because, yeah, it couldn't have been like a one and done type thing.
Was it like something that they were getting paid for, or was it just like out of the goodness of their heart, hey, we're going to go save these people and bring them back to the States?
I don't know. It might have just been the goodness of their heart, or I'm sure there's like I'm sure there's people that were like donors, like there's like funds out there that basically said, hey, like we support this, and yeah, like we'll cover your airfare and we'll cover XYZ to like send you over there. I'm sure there's a bunch of like wealthy people that former military that
want to back them.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, and that was honestly, that was pretty cool. That like a bunch of like Americans were just like, no, you know what? Fuck this, dude. We're going over there and we're going to like get our people back. Like, and that's like the most American shit
absolutely
ever.
But why didn't anybody hear about this?
I don't know.
I understand if was this out in the open though. I want to do some research because obviously I don't watch a lot of news. I've said that before, but still, that's such a huge thing. Why wouldn't that be plastered on the front page of everything?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it's like dissent. I guess it's technically illegal. I don't know if that would be technically considered like treason or something.
I guess,
but
because if you're going behind the military's back, and you're running like these secret co-op missions,
which I don't know if that could be considered treason or if that's just like illegal military activity or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know. You could make the same case for just like the way that they handled it could be.
It's one of those things too. It's like we'll just brush this one under the rug.
Yeah,
it's for everybody's like best interests.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might be illegal, let's not make a huge thing about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm glad that there's people that did that. That's
for sure.
Yeah. This is like the balance is still there.
Maybe it'll come out in however many years or months from now, and they'll say, hey, by the way, we got this many people out and we have solved these problems. Because come to think of it, I haven't heard much about the Taliban uprising since all that happened.
No, me neither.
So maybe it's getting a little leveled out.
Could be. Who knows? I don't know. And it's like at this point, I don't know that I like believe anything that's coming out of there. It now seems like it's been made up for 20 years this whole time. So I don't know why now would be.
Why pull out on that exact time and then.
Well, why pull out now? And I don't know why they would change lying to us about all this stuff now. Like, well, hey, we haven't really been fully truthful for 20 years, but like now we're telling you the truth. Like,
maybe.
I don't know. It seems a little far-fetched, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What was the lie about? Like, what was like the big stink about us? I can't remember all
like
the
facts. Government and
yeah, I know. But what was like the big thing? I can't remember. It was like we're gonna pull out now.
This
it was
this
like
time,
immediately, and it wasn't like something that was planned.
I don't.
and it didn't give us enough time or something. Because I remember reading from a guy that had spent a lot of time over there who said, like, no, this is a problem.
Yeah. No, I don't remember I actually don't know the specific reason, but my main issue is just like the fallout from it and like the botched nature of it. I don't have a problem with us pulling out of Afghanistan, really. Like we've basically been in like an endless war that
Wasn't going anywhere.
yeah, well that I don't want our country to be in a bunch of endless wars. Like
No, of course
it
not.
just it kind of like it is a big part of like 1984. If you read that, it's always talking about like there's always got to be like a foreign war somewhere off that the people of the country don't really know about. They don't really experience it, but they know that there's a bad guy out there, and you can just keep like kind of doing whatever you want, and then say, "Well, you can't do that because of like terrorism or something like that." So I don't think that there's no terrorists over there. I don't think this is like entirely fake. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people use this and take advantage of it, and it's a big money making thing. Like I talked to somebody that told me that I don't know in like 2013 or 2012 something like that in Iraq and Afghanistan, like they would just have these different people that would be there for a year, and then they would say, "Oh, we need X amount of millions of dollars to accomplish X goal." And then within a year, they wouldn't accomplish it and they'd be cycled out to the next person. And that person would just say, "Oh, I need X amount of million to do this." And so they present it to these generals who go to Congress. And then they say, like, "All right, we need these hundreds of millions of dollars to do X, Y, and Z." Not much gets done. And then a shitload of products get brought over there. So, like, he's like, "Yeah, there's a field with like 500 brand new F1, F2, and F350s just in a field, like a desert field, just rotting. There's like warehouses full of parts for tankers and Humvees that they have like no tracking system. Like you give tens of millions of dollars worth of inventory, but you don't set up like a computer system to manage that and like teach the people there. And then the people that they tried to teach there, like they weren't interested in learning how to fix Humvees or fix like these tanker trucks. So he's like literally like a expensive ass, like like the gas trucks that drive around and, like fill up like gas stations. Like
Yeah, like a big tanker.
yeah, like he's like yeah, they would just drive it, and then when the filters like clogged up and the engine seized, they would literally get out of the truck and just walk away. So he's like, there'd just be like these hundreds of thousands of dollar like vehicles just on the side of
Hanging
the
out.
road just because they don't know how to fix it. And they're like, well, they're just given to us. So like, whatever. Like, so that's the kind of shit that goes on that like, I hear that. And then you hear the things like, oh, 80% of all money in circulation.
So
is
you're
just
but you're
printed.
talking about like the Afghan soldiers.
Yeah. Like,
Yes, the stuff that was what the big issue was, that like we've spent time trying to help them and train their army and stuff, and then there's a lot of things that went unfinished.
yeah. Well, and it's just, like maybe they're not interested in that. Maybe there's some, but maybe they're not interested in that, and that
Yeah.
could be. But it's just I don't know. That's hundreds of billions of dollars every year, and like we pay for that. But then that goes to all the people that are there, and those people are all like probably in DC or these like big cities, and fucking
And what happens to all of our stuff
yeah,
here that we need
yeah, and
to
then
address.
when they spend a shitload of money on that stuff, on other things that I don't know, like don't really work that great, and then like, oh man, we really fucked up. Let's print 80% of the money. Like,
Oh, this will make things better.
yeah, I don't know. So that's the kind of stuff that got us like on these paths of learning about crypto like we have been lately, and
Yeah.
NFTs and all this stuff. And I want to learn a lot more about that in 2022 because like, as I'm seeing this decentralized approach to some of these things to counterbalance some of the craziness going on, that's a piece of it. But also, it seems like a lot of people are are moving to those things just for like regular interactions, like metaverse stuff, like
Yeah.
blockchain technologies. And I don't even understand a fraction of a percent of it, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are moving to it. I think a lot of it is almost intentional. It's like, oh, this is this is the new thing, and I want to be a little bit more involved with it. I don't think it's like, oh, we need to do this because this is the future. It's like, no, dude, the metaverse looks cool. I want to be a part of that. I
Yeah.
want to see what it's about. Like, everybody's talking about NFTs. All these celebrities are buying, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of NFTs, and then flipping them overnight and then making this. I'm like, all right, that seems pretty cool. It seems like the thing to do. But maybe in all that, we're going into a direction of more decentralization, in a direction that we probably it's more of a healthy direction for us.
Well, dude,
economically.
So one of the things that I wanted to explore, I was thinking of this idea earlier today, is like for NFTs and stuff. Let me see if so you know how like NFTs, people are like releasing some artwork with it, but then it has things like attached to it as well. I still don't really understand it, but it would be kind of cool to like release an album or something like that that's based around like NFTs, and basically you can have, maybe you sell like multiple NFTs per song and they make up like a key.
Wow.
So maybe if you have like artwork, then you have like the music and then something else that's like attached to it. Then maybe if you have like 3 NFTs, you can sell them, but that becomes like a key. So in order to unlock the thing that the NFT is supposed to give to you, then you have to either have all 3, or you and other people that own those like tokens need to agree. And if you agree on like the thing, then you all get the thing. So like I don't know what that
I was following you in the beginning, and then I think I fell off towards the end, but that is an awesome idea.
So where did you fall off?
So you buy some of these songs, or you buy the album, you have a key to unlock. Then what is what do you mean unlock? Unlock the NFT?
So what I was learning from the guy, and this will go out on Monday, so it'll go out the episode after this, but talking with the guy Nick Schmidt about his NFT project to like clean up the environment. And basically what you can do with the NFT is, I can have this NFT be a piece of artwork, yes, but part of what it comes with, if you buy into like the first tier of it, is you have to do a trash cleanup, and that unlocks like the benefits of this NFT. So then if you do the trash cleanup, then you can be part of the organization that helps steer where like this whole project goes. So like NFTs are pieces of art, but they're tied to other things. So you can have like other things go with it.
Okay.
Right? So like did I tell you the Kings of Leon thing? So Kings of Leon did they did like an album as an NFT, but basically if you buy that NFT, I guess you get something with the album. Who the fuck knows? But it's like also you got like, if you owned it, you would get like front row tickets at any like concert that came to your area, or like maybe any concert that you wanted to go to, but it had to be like you and one guest. But like you kind of like got some perks with it.
That's cool.
So I was thinking like if you could release it, and I don't know what that would be, and you can make it different for each thing, but basically like have a couple NFTs for like a song. So you have the artwork, the song, and then maybe like the music video, right? But then like the thing that comes with it, instead of being like tickets that you get every show, or whenever it comes to your area, I don't know, maybe it unlocks, like it gives you access to something, and then this piece of it gives you access to something else, and
that's
then
neat.
By combining them, maybe you can, I don't know, you almost create like a scavenger hunt for people, or something along those lines.
I feel like maybe it sounds like people might get more involved in the music again, like in the full
experience.
Exactly. Yeah, the full experience of the music.
Well, because I was thinking, because you are like a big record buff,
Yeah.
and I remember my mom's talked about this. Somebody else that, oh, they're probably like 50 or 60, they were talking about it, but it was like, oh, those, like the records, you'd go to the record store, and then you'd like open the record, or you'd bring it home, and you'd be looking at the artwork, and you'd be reading it, and the lyrics, and then you had your headphones on sometimes, and you'd be kind of immersed in this like piece of art.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't really do that all that much. I just get really into the music. Like I'll listen to something over and over and over and over again. But I don't know, that might be cool to like to create a kind of experience like that. I don't know what that would be, but something that gets people more.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Like I've always liked the whole experience, but I'm like you. Like sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm just listening to these songs. Cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody loves music. Everybody likes their songs. But like think about this. Like, do the band Kiss?
Mm-hmm.
They're okay.
Yeah.
Like during their time, amazing. They put on this show and all this stuff. But the reason they were so big is because they put on these crazy shows. They were a little bit different, a little unique. But the albums, they had this whole experience. Like you could be part of the Kiss army. Like, yeah, they just like everything was very catered to like being a huge fan of them. And on top of that, when you like have all this stuff that shows how great these bands are, it almost makes those bands larger than life.
Yeah.
So then when you do go to the concert and you do experience it firsthand, then you're like, whoa, like, all right, this is all coming together.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people appreciated the whole package more, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
Because it was an experience.
Yeah, and it's yeah, and I don't know. I want to see if I can kind of recreate something like that.
Yeah.
So that's one of my goals for this year is something along those lines of I do want to get an album done, and it kind of, so this brings me back to like the thing of where I was a year ago versus where I'm at now, then to where I kind of want to be in a year. So one of the aspects is music. I mean, that kicked me off down a whole rabbit hole. So I started the beginning of the year with that monthly course. So I started learning a little bit about music production with that, and then found that Musician on a Mission. And I then got real deep into the music production. This is while I was at my job, and I may or may not have been working very hard while I was still there,
doing a little moonlighting.
But and then the opportunity to do a podcast came up and all this shit. So I mean, that sent me down the path. But I've been wanting to get back into music and get writing and doing all this stuff. And like I've released 2 songs. Like I did those start to finish. But then as the business grows and the baby, like the time slips away. So I'm like, oh, I got to do it an hour a day or this or that. And I just I'm not making progress. So I was reading some of the things that I wrote this time last year of I need to record these songs. I want to put out an album. And so I think for 2022, the way that I'm going to do it is actually, because I can with the way that I have the stuff set up, is set like a day a week, at least like a 6-hour or 8-hour like work day on music, and chip away at that for 1 day a week. So if you break that down over the course of the year, that's 52 full days of working on music. And with 52 full days of like being in the studio, I can definitely get an album done. Because I don't know, I'll come back to this because I want to hear what you've got, but like that, some of that, like that timing, I think will help actually let me break through some of these limitations that I've got. Because when I'm doing this like hour chunk at a time or hour and a half, I don't hit that like deep work, that deep progress, that like really figure out the next piece of the puzzle type work. Like I don't get there. And so I think I've just been kind of swimming, along the surface and not diving deep enough. So this is kind of my way of looking back at what I didn't do well and where I'm fucking up, and then going to try to remedy it with this.
How are you going to keep track of all that? Like, how are you going to hold yourself accountable and say, like, okay, I did this many hours today working on music?
A couple things. So part of what that guy, the Pete Moore, he was on, I don't know, episode 25 or something like that, but he called it BMAP. So that's one thing that I learned this year that was super helpful. It's like behavior equals motivation, ability, and prompt. So it's like the motivation is to get it done. Like I have like 80% of the ability to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be shitty and then it'll get better.
Mm-hmm.
And then the prompt. So right now I'm going to try to schedule it for Fridays, because what I realized over the past 5 months of like actually running my business and stuff is like Fridays are the days where I kind of fuck off the most, and I get the least amount done, and then things kind of slip in, and I'm like, whatever. And so I'm not in like a work mode. So if I can set my schedules to be like starting Friday morning, like from 9 to 2 at least, like block that off for this purpose, that's not so crazy where I've got to make every single day work of like, oh, I got to be up at 8 and then this, because the baby wakes up, and sometimes the baby is like is cool with me working on that.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's not, and I can't plan it out. So I'll set it one day a week that I'm like focused on it, and then if that has to shift, like I have to do something on Friday, and I know on Monday or Tuesday that Friday is going to be like totally busy, I just switch it to like Thursday, and block it off. Like if a customer needs me on Friday, all right, fuck it, let me just switch this around,
Yeah.
or like family thing or something along those lines. Then I can adjust it. But if I know I set up like that time, like set it aside, and I stick to it, then I can do it. If I don't stick to it, then it won't happen. But if I can switch the perspective, then I think I can do it.
There's something to be said for like having a solid schedule for Fridays, because if you don't, like I think like a lot of people, I do, you'll screw off and it'll be the weekend, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
And then you lose that inertia like going into the weekend, and then Monday I feel like, you're kind of lagging.
Yep. Well,
That's great, dude.
So on this, so one of the realizations that I had this year was it ties into why I want to do this, like where I'm setting 6 hours to do this or a full work day, is because of that surface level that you only get when you're on something for an hour and a half. At least this is what happens for me with working on music, is it's not until, I don't know, maybe 2.5, 3, 4 hours into the process where I really hit that, like I hit a wall at like a half hour or an hour and a half, where you're just like, I cannot get fucking ahead at all. I'm not going to be able to figure this out. I can't figure this beat out. I can't figure this bass line out. I can't figure out why this just is kind of dud-ish, like it's supposed to be a grand part. Why does this sound like a dud?
Yeah, fart.
And yeah, exactly. And so it's like, those are the times, like 3-4 hours into it, where you're working really hard on something, and because you're in the work, you're chipping away at it, then that path actually will unfold to you and show you the next piece of the path where you need to go.
So you're saying if you push through kind of like that tired point during like that one task, there's like, you're saying that you've like discovered there's something better on the other side?
Yeah. So
interesting.
So if I'm just setting it up, right? So I thought that doing the hour or hour and a half was good because I'd be staying consistent and I'd be doing it every day, and just, over time that chips away. And I have to do that for certain things. Like you got to do that with like marketing or sales, stuff like that. But for this, it's more, if I know I have an hour and that's it, and then I'm going to do other stuff, if I hit that point at a half hour that I know I'm not going to break in another half hour, I've pretty much given up for the rest of that half hour. But if I set aside that time that I'm like, no, I'm sitting here until like it's a war of art thing. Is
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm on the job and I have to get this done. Your mind shifts from well, I can get away with it to how do I figure this out? So that's kind of a realization I had is unless you're doing the work, unless you are in it, unless you're like putting everything that you've got into something, then your that path isn't going to unfold to you. Like I tried to do so many things in life from like a surface level or like passive or whatever. And dude, that was a realization I had this year that is just if I don't dive into it, like if you don't dive into something like full bore, like the path is not going to open up for you. The universe doesn't give that to you. Like it's almost like a secret that it tells you is like, "Hey, we got a secret right here."
Yeah.
And then like you just have to chip away and it opens and then you go like, "Oh, I fucking figured it out. Yep, I'm good." And then you walk the next day and the wall's like this and you're like,
What?
No, that was open. And like it's like, "Nope." Nope.
See, I'm interested in the reason I asked you is kind of like what your plan was to do that is because my biggest goal, I think, is like trimming the fat off of the time that I'm wasting, the
Okay.
time that I'm not getting involved enough to make a difference in the things that I'm interested in. So, like, I want to, like, my biggest thing to do is I want to read more. Like, I would love to read a book a week. I know it's maybe like a book every 2 weeks, whatever, a couple books a month would just be like out of this world awesome for me. But that's the thing. I'll like start reading one night, and then I'm like, oh, then I'm on my phone, and I'm doing this, and then I'm like walking around, not even doing anything, just like pacing, trying to like not be bored. So that's my one of my biggest things is find out like how to keep myself better focused in these things, so I can essentially learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just got all these Ryan Holiday books, and I started reading Courage is Calling. And I started reading. I was like, this is such a good book.
Yeah.
And then like I've read 20 pages, and I'm like, I haven't read it in like a couple of days now. But I was like so about it. So that's one thing that I'm gonna do. So I think that's probably the answer to one of my heartburns is just pushing through a little bit farther instead of being like, all right, I'm bored with this. I'm gonna move on to the next thing, and spending such little time on everything that I'm not getting any value out of any of that stuff. Or whatever, like let's say I'm gonna like have the MPC and I want to make a song, like, and then I spend an hour on that, and then I go to like read on a topic that I'm interested in, or do like podcast research. It's like doing all those things. I think maybe now I'm thinking about this now is just focus on one of those things per day,
Yeah, it
instead
could
of
be.
jumping around and spreading myself so thin over all this stuff, or even like other things like with my family, like spending time like. Okay, don't worry about like work when I'm with my family. Don't worry about looking at your phone and like, because I know you do that. You set time aside for Instagram and things like that, right? Or you were doing that?
I try to, but dude, that's the thing about these things is they are so addicting. There's such a lure to them, and it makes you get sucked in. I'll go on and I'll start looking at things, but my mission was to go post a reel
And
or
then
something.
an hour goes by, and you know what you could have done in an hour?
Mm-hmm.
So much stuff. And then I started thinking about this the other day. There's a guy that I work with who's about to retire, and he's I think he's pushing 70, and he's only got a couple weeks left to work. And we were talking, and he's like, like, even if I die tomorrow, like I'm completely happy with everything I've done. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, I wonder if like, can I say that? I was like, I've sure wasted a lot of time this past year thinking about all these things that I want to do, that I should do, but I've wasted more of it thinking about that than actually putting anything into place.
So why do you feel like it's a waste?
I just feel like it didn't lead. Maybe it's not a complete waste, but it didn't add as much value. Maybe not as much of a experience as it should have.
So looking back on it, do you feel like that what causes you to waste the most time? Is it getting sucked into certain things, or is it losing interest in certain things? Like what are the main things?
Probably a little bit of both, but I'd say it's getting like sucked into things for sure, and like the phone. Like, I got to cut it out.
It's a killer.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I feel like it's only gotten worse because I use this for work. I use this to communicate with everybody. So it's like, and I know that I'm bad, and Jenny, my wife, because my daughter will like pick this up if I have it somewhere and she'll hand it to you. No matter where it is in the house. She'll find it and she'll come up to you and go,
Really?
yep. So she like knows that like, oh, that's always with mom and dad. Mom and dad always have this. This must be a part of them. And she'll like come up, she'll like hand it, and I'm like, yo, that's like I don't want that at all.
Well, it's twofold. It's like not good that it might be like that much a part of you, but it also seems like Lily has some pretty good manners, and she's
True.
learning. So
Yeah.
you're
She
doing
does,
something
yeah,
right.
she does have wonderful manners. But I'm like, no, Daddy doesn't need this right now. Let's just put it over the side. And then she'll find it and she'll kind of do like one of these. And
Really?
she'll hand it to you.
Oh, that's cute,
Yeah, it is. It's really cute.
dude. That you were right. We talked about this before Lana was born, but I have said cute thousands of
Yeah,
times.
it's making me sick. You need to stop. Yeah, I know. It just keeps coming, and you're all of a sudden one day you're gonna say it a bunch, and then you're gonna say, "What am I doing?"
I'm already there. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, look at this. She's so
What are you
cute.
saying is cute? Like, just like the stuff that she's doing, like her clothes or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh, it's cute.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, she's so
Oh,
cute.
it's cute.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, she's smiling. Oh, that's cute.
Yep.
Oh, look at this little. She got a little onesie on. Oh, that's cute. Look at her little toes. That's
Yeah,
cute.
it's only gonna get worse.
I think so, but
Whatever.
hey,
Only girl dads understand.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, whatever. It's fine. She's cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
Hey, what can I say? And there's worse problems. There's worse problems to have.
Yeah, there's worse cute problems to have.
Dude, so I don't know. Do you want to talk about some of this stuff more, or do you want to talk about like the shit you've learned parenting?
This interests me. The goals.
Okay.
We can kind of do both.
So what else? What else you got? So what are some of the things that you started off like looking back? Where were you at this time last year? And then I know you said you wasted a lot of time,
Yeah.
but like
I feel. Who knows if I actually did? I feel that way.
so where were you at this time last year? Like what were you feeling like you wanted to actually change, and what did you actually change? Like what were some of the things that you actually did that made a change in the things that you wanted to achieve? Like what has been successful?
So I wrote down. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about this, I did put some stuff in place that I'm pretty proud of, I think.
Okay.
Like, I guess I started doing these things, and my habits have become more consistent.
Like what?
But I think I'm beating myself up because I look at other people, I'm like, oh, they have it all put together. So I should be there. But I'm not I'm judging other people based on, we're all in different places in our life.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging, like, where I was, 12 months ago or 16 months ago. So, like, dude, do you remember, like, last December, were you worried about COVID? Were you, like, in a weird way, like...
No, dude, at that point I was done with COVID because we had the wedding and I don't know, 2/3 of the people canceled,
Yeah.
which ended up being great because then it was like the perfect size wedding, and then we could hang out with everybody and actually like talk with everybody. So that was cool. But
Damn, when was your wedding?
it was December 6th.
So
The third wedding was December 6th.
That's right. I guess I wasn't worried either because I guess I was thinking that this was kind of fresh.
You were worried earlier on when Jenny was pregnant, which was legit because she was at the height of pregnancy right when all this stuff was breaking out. Because Lily was born in July, and all this stuff
of 20,
yeah, and all this stuff started happening really full blown in March. So, yeah, dude, it was good to be cautious and scared at that time.
So July, I was probably more because that's when I got my vaccine. So
you got your what?
I got the needle. Yeah, in July. So
Yeah.
I guess after all that, I was a little bit less stressed out. So I guess in December, I wasn't.
December they were ramping up everything like you're gonna die, and then everybody was like, "Oh my
You're
god,
gonna die.
I'm gonna die," and then you talk to people that are like, "I'm really sorry, we can't come to your wedding." It's like, "Oh, we understand," and that was like, there's maybe 10 out of the 80 people that canceled that I was like, I totally understand. You're either old or you got like something wrong. And then we had people that were like, I'm really sorry, I can't come. I know that I've been on a plane. One person had literally flown back and forth between 2 COVID hotspots, 8 flights in 3 weeks back and forth, a week before our wedding, and they're like, really sorry, I can't come. We're really terrified of COVID. I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, what the fuck? And then another person is like,
terrified.
Another person was like,
thanks, friend.
Yeah, it was like, oh, well, we can't come. We were just out of the country at like a party spot literally 2 weeks ago. But now, like, we're really, really scared now. And it was like, and that was was a point where I was like, you know what? Fuck these people, dude. Like, I don't even care anymore.
Here's the thing, too, dude, that this is all kind of giving everybody an easy out to certain stuff. And I don't know where I was talking to somebody or something today about it. It's like, all right, you live in an apartment complex, right? And you're having these issues, and your faucet's leaking, and you got mold or whatever the case may be, and you walk up to the main office, and it says, like, cannot enter due to COVID. Please send email or call this number. Dude, it's an easy way for people just to dodge all their problems.
Really.
And then have to deal with them just one by one, nice and easy.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of like the spreading out of your problems.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna check a couple emails today. Oh, all right. I got Jimmy done. Got him. All right. Oh, Chris is next. Let's see what Chris has got going on.
Like, Can't yell at me through email.
Yeah, you just piss everybody off even more, though.
Yeah.
But then it's like people have accepted that. They're like, oh, I understand. They don't want us in there because I might have COVID. It doesn't give you an excuse not to make sure everybody in your zone has been helped or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's another realization I had this year is just how fucking ridiculous the world can get, and like how many people can get bought into this bullshit. Dude, I'm fucking done with COVID. Like Omicron, like, dude, it's like they're having a tough time finding people that are like dying from it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, all the things that are like alternate treatments, they're not going to work on this one. We really don't know why, but it's just not going to work. So you're going to need to get another thing. So it's like, you know what? At this point, dude, this is not to be like incendiary or anything, but like all these people came down from up north, and like there's a bunch of like people our age. Like, do you still wear a mask in most places?
No.
If you still,
unless I have to, I will. If it's like if I have to, I will. Or if somebody asks me to, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, but
no.
Like if you go into like a medical place, you can assume that you're gonna have. Like I had to wear that urgent care. Like I went to urgent care today because like I've had like a dry cough and a fever and
Are
like
you serious?
all that. No. But like I went to urgent care today to get like my leg checked out. And like you can know that you're gonna have to wear a mask in like a health place. Like I get it, but if you're just like a regular guy like our age,
wearing a mask while you're driving by yourself with the windows up,
yeah, that's real bad. But if you're our age-ish, 30-ish range, and like you don't have any health problems, and like you don't directly take care of somebody that has health problems, like I have no respect for you. Like I really like if I see you and you're my age and you have like a beard and outdoor clothing on, like dude, I'm sorry. Like I really don't respect you as a man. I like respect you as a person maybe, but like
see,
you're a pussy, dude. Like that's like what are you doing?
I don't even really care. I'm just like, that's cool, man. You want to do that? That's fine. If they feel that they need to do that.
I'm talking about people that are like our age. If you're like older or something, like I get it. Like do whatever the fuck you want. It's not like I'm gonna go like yell at that person, but as just man to man, I don't have any respect for you anymore. I don't.
That doesn't get me as bad as being in the car by yourself wearing a mask. Because, dude, I see people and I'm like, what's going on? I saw somebody the other day that was driving with, it's probably close to our age, maybe 5 years, older than us. And he was driving and there was a bunch of kids like waiting on the thing. He had his windows down with a mask on. And I saw him as he pulled up the kids, he rolled his window up. And I was like, what do you think is going to happen, man? They're 20 plus feet away. You have your mask on.
Dude,
and you're in your car by yourself.
Actually, that was probably a smart move because those kids are probably going to make fun of him.
Hey, look at this guy.
Look at this old guy with a mask.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He wasn't old, though.
So
yeah, we got off topic.
We got off topic.
Surprise.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel about people our age that are still wearing masks with no underlying conditions. So figure your life out. That's all I've got to say.
Figure it
anyway,
out.
So what are the other things that, what should we do?
Well, what about you?
What about me?
What about you? Tell us about yourself. What do you
I am a Scorpio. I was born in 1992.
like? What else are you trying to focus on in the coming year?
Um,
Do you have like an attainable, like something that you're like, I want to do like this amount, like a quantitative thing that you want to accomplish, or?
Yeah. So this year, like, I want to do a couple things. I want to get enough customers that I have like a small stable of customers that are like bringing enough recurring revenue each month to basically pay my house expenses, like our living expenses and the business expenses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily, my goal with that is to basically break even on all of those things. So basically set that up to be broken even where I can do that. I'm learning a bunch. I'm helping these customers and I can move that along. And I think that's attainable because I think I can get there with anywhere from like, I'm going to say the number is roughly about 10 customers that I need to get and have that recurring each month.
Dude, that's for sure attainable. It's less than one customer a month.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I could probably get a couple per month to get going, and by doing that, I'm going to learn a shitload, so I can either charge more or I can outsource certain things. I don't know what that'll be, but basically, I want to build that up so I'm like flat, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least, so that way, the work is a steady amount of work. I can like know that my expenses are covered, maybe make some, and then that way if I lose somebody, I'll be like flat.
Yeah.
Right?
That's smart.
So I want to have that piece. I want to grow this thing. Like, I want to get this show bigger, not for the sake of getting it bigger, but I want to kind of talk to more people and learn more stuff. So I want to use this as a vehicle to understand these crypto things, these NFT things, running business, philosophy, like those,
I'm with you.
like all those dimensions that I was talking about and learning about that. Like
the cool thing about this too, you're gonna blow that out of the water. Your 10 accounts.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think so.
The cool thing about this too, man, and I'm with you. I was gonna say is like dive into this podcast a little bit more and. Like for our shows, I want to myself be a little bit more prepared because it's cool because it forces me to do more research on a topic. We're like, hey, let's talk about this. Dude, I would have never looked up half of the stuff that we've talked about over the last, what has it been, 4 months?
Yeah.
And I guess I was beating myself up earlier about like saying like, oh, I haven't like learned as much as I wanted to. Because I guess I really have. It's just been I guess it's one of those things you don't realize how much you learn.
Dude, that's why I wanted to look at some of this stuff through the lens of where were we a year ago versus where we're at today. Because you just talked about it before too, of like you start looking out and comparing and all these things, but then you forget the things that you've actually accomplished and what you've done.
It kind of overshadows the great things that you've done. Because it is, dude. You look at these people like they just made how much on Shiba Inu? Damn it! What was I doing?
Yeah. Well, and that stuff gets me anxious, right? And that's
That's a good word for it, dude.
yeah,
I get anxious about that stuff.
because I look at it like I look at it like, well, oh man, I'm like already behind. Like, oh, they got ahead. That they're there. It's too late for me. All these things, and I'm trying to learn more about it because I don't want to look at it that way. I want to try to understand where things are going in the future, and then get there. And follow that path along and start understanding, so you can know where the world is going, and then you can be in that spot where it's like, oh yeah, I did that thing and I made $600,000 because I happened to just be paying attention for long enough, and all these kinds of things. But yeah, by doing the podcast, it forces you to learn. And when you look back, you realize, like, I didn't know anything about putting all this stuff together. I didn't know anything about what we would talk about. Didn't know anything about audiences. I didn't know anything about the industry, what people are looking for, all these things. And by and large, I still don't, but I know so much more than I used. I know a lot more about a lot of this stuff than 99% of people.
Oh yeah.
And I know way more than I used to. And by this time next year, like I'll be even further along on that path.
Yeah.
But you have to start.
I think people that like look out, like I can tell you that you've progressed so much more than you probably have even realized.
Yeah.
Like just watching the stuff that you put online, the stuff that we talk about here, the things you're doing in your life, since you left your corporate job and done all this stuff, like, dude, you've done like a ton of amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You probably don't even realize you've done half of it.
No, and that's the thing of why I want to go back and take inventory, because it does alleviate some of that anxiety of, well, I haven't done anything,
Yeah.
and I'm falling behind already, because you know how I operate. Like, that's where I'm at all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you built all this stuff. That's awesome. Are you like stoked? And I'm like, I guess kind of, but I was thinking about this thing and that thing and this.
You're
and
always looking for the next thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think taking stock of this year has been at least helpful. I don't know, the past couple of days as I'm doing this exercise, I think it's helping me realize, like, all right, you got a bunch of shit done. That's a bunch of life transformations, having a kid, leaving a job, starting a company, starting a podcast, doing all this stuff. It's been a crazy year, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess on the positive side of things, maybe you could probably agree with me on this, is that we found all the things that found out more things that we know we don't want to do in the new year.
That's true.
Things that we want to stay away from. If you're looking at it from a more positive, aspect. For me, like wasting time, I know that okay, this year is going to be better in that aspect.
Yeah.
But, dude, there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a good way to put it though. Taking inventory and sitting down and looking at some of this stuff, or us having this conversation. And this is if people don't know, this is the first time we're talking about this. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out of this with some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, so so that's like a couple of things. I got some other things that I want to do, but what are you trying to do
Dude,
this year?
I want to, and that's what I was kind of leading into, is how Lily wants to hand me her phone, and I'm seeing these little different things that she's doing, and I want to really be more involved with her learning. So
Okay.
I want to spend more time with her. I want to at least say obviously I want to spend every time I'm not at work doing something, I want to spend with my wife and my daughter. But I want to spend 30 to 45 minutes every night reading and doing different stuff, because I feel that's one thing that too I'm behind on with her, is we'll read to her. She loves books. You've seen her. She just picks up books and
Yeah.
hands them to people and stuff. But stuff like that, I think I want to put a time amount, so I know that I'm at least doing enough.
Try to be more present with that stuff. Do you feel like you're present with it now?
I'm becoming more present. I feel that I am,
Okay.
but I've made it more of an effort to do that. I still have a long way to go, but for sure from where I came from, what the biggest thing is too. You get your screen time at the end of the week. It's you've spent 7 hours a day on your phone.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And I got one time when it was real high like that, and I was like, all right, dude, that's it. I'm putting this down. It's gonna be high because I use this for everything. It's like a computer. but I saw that and I was like, yeah, dude, I need to be more present.
It was a bit of a wake up call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a part of what's been kind of waking me up to that idea of trying to be more present and all these kinds of things is having a baby now, but also comparing that to watching you and Greg have babies that are a year and a year and a half and a year and a quarter,
Yeah.
basically like ahead of us, right? So, and the milestones are different. So it's weird. It's time is changing in those moments, right? So I have my daughter who I'm with every day, and I see these like mini milestones, right? Like today she seems to have been able to kind of swing her arm in a little bit more of an intentional way than she did before. And I'm seeing these like micro mini milestones. Whereas with you and Greg, like your daughters, I got to see once a week, once every other week, once a month. Sometimes it gets shifted, and sometimes it'd be more, sometimes it'd be less. And so the changes were a little bit more drastic. And so like time was kind of flying by, and then they're getting older and like they're getting more capable. And that one time we were hanging out sitting in your lanai, and all of a sudden Lily's like, I don't know, she's like 7 months old and like climbing up these like lawn chairs and shit,
Oh,
like
yeah.
figuring out how to get.
She would just pop up on there and sit up and just hang out with us.
Yeah. And so seeing that and that time kind of like flying by, it felt short in some ways, but it felt, oh, that takes like a long time because I wouldn't see for like a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's a while. It's 6 months. Oh, that's so like that's X amount of time. And it's fucking with my head because when you're in the moments of feeding her for an hour or 2 hours at night and doing that once or twice a night, and then you're with her and you can't put her down, and like you're holding her and doing all these things, it's so long in those moments, especially when you're like sleep deprived and everything, but it's all of a sudden time is going so fast with those things. And when you stop to look at different longer periods of intervals, that is shorter and shorter. Like, so when I look back now, she was born almost 8 weeks ago now. That time period is a blur,
Yeah.
And
because the farther you get away from it, the shorter it seems, you're saying.
Yeah. But it's now moving faster. Like time is moving faster. I think as you get older, time.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a conceptual, it's like
my dad always has told me that. He goes, when you get the closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. There's a like a quantive or some like
quantum physics
term for it. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I just learned this too recently.
Like exponential something.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Well, like an exponential curve is like something that goes up, and then as you move along, it like gets steeper and steeper. It could be. Something. It could be like
something like that. It's a phenomenon.
Exponential decline.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon. Yeah, the closer you get to the end of something, the quicker it becomes.
Yeah, dude, and it's getting faster, and part of it is those nights when I'm just, it's kind of pissing me off. Like I gotta do this, or like want to like read my phone or have a book or whatever, and I'm like, stop making that the focus. Make the focus to be present here with your daughter, and then if you can then read or you can watch a YouTube video while you're giving her the bottle, then okay, that's a benefit. But I was realizing that I was making the priority like watching this like video or like reading this book while I'm feeding her. It's like, no, I'm gonna fucking miss it. Like this window only happens once. You're going to miss it,
dude. Like I was like flipping through these pictures the other day. Just like, look at this. Whatever. I'll just scroll up a little bit. Right. What month are we in right now? December. All right. Dude, this was Lily, April 4th.
What the fuck? Really?
Just isn't that crazy? It's like,
Dude, she's so little.
dude, take a bunch of pictures because all of a sudden you'll look back at stuff and you'll be like, whoa, all right, a bunch of time has passed. But I think when they're younger, they develop a little
So
bit quicker or
fast.
something because, yeah, like all of a sudden one day I'm like, oh, shoot, her hair's in her eyes, so now we gotta like put little rubber bands, give her little ponytails or pigtails. There's like a point where she had like no hair,
Yeah.
and that was her like, so that would have been like her at like 8 months.
8 months ago. And at 8 months old.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, like 8 months old. So she
And 8
like,
months
was
ago.
just about to start walking. Yeah. Yeah. 8 and 8.
Jesus. Dude, she's so small.
I know. Just crazy.
It is crazy. And I think it's that comparison, too, that I'm seeing is like, she was so small. She's been so small this whole time. Malia's been so small this whole time. And then we have a brand new baby, and now she's real small. And Lily's walking, Malia's walking now, and she's like starting to talk, dude.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, Malia almost talks more than Lily does.
dude, it's crazy how. So like, Malia's fucking smart. I think she's gonna be real smart because, like, she is kind of talking, and then like she started looking at Lana. Lana was in like the car seat thing, and she was looking at her on Christmas, and I went like, and she knows how to go. She knows that,
Yeah.
and so I go, that's a baby, and she go, that's a ba, and then I go, that's a baby, and she go,
Yeah.
like yeah, I get it, like that's a
Dude,
baby, and
she was giving Lily like snacks.
really,
She was like handing her goldfish. Like Lily was like giving her like, like pointing like what you got over there, and she was like put them on the table, and they were like trading little goldfish back and forth.
really,
Yeah.
little barter babies.
Yeah, and then Millie was like trying to like take something, and Lily gave her a little push. We're like, no.
Yeah,
But yeah, she knew like, oh, there's another little baby. She probably wants some of these things.
dude,
Yeah, she's smart, dude.
dude, she is. And then the next day, I went, that's a baby, and she went, that's a baby. Like she like almost said it. I was like, holy shit, she was like 14 months old or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's given me some real perspective, I think. And dude, this is something that I kind of realized this year too, was I think we've talked about this before, but this kind of feeling that you are locked into whatever time that you're in your life, right? So, and I think it's a balancing act of the universe. So, when you're a baby, you only have like this much. Like it's like you're looking through like a tiny window of information, right? And then when you're a teenager, it's like a little bit wider, and then as an adult, it's a little wider, and then when you get older, it's even wider. But as you pass into these next stages of life, and it's almost like year to year, really, maybe every 2 years as you get older, but like you only have access to that frequency of life.
Yeah.
So you don't have access to what it's like to be young and process the world from a perspective of being young. And I think it's a balancing act because if you were older, right, and you have all these experiences, you were young, you were a teenager, you were a young adult, you were an adult, you were a parent, you were a grandparent, like you have all these experiences, so you can understand a lot, right? But you can't, it's like quantum mechanically impossible for you to experience what it's like to be a little kid in today's time. And so it prevents like predation from an older generation or a different generation on the young, because they can still prey on them and distort them and send them in the wrong direction. But there's always going to be a certain amount of young people that see the world from a perspective that is not available to the older. So like we're seeing this with some of these like NFTs and crypto stuff is like there's a younger group that is like Neil was saying is like we don't agree to that anymore. And I don't know, I think the universe kind of has this like built-in thing that doesn't let different ages access the mind,
a certain part of that generation.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, dude. Because if you want to like know something about the future, you go and you pick someone's brain that's on the younger scale. Like because somebody that's younger, they're closer to the future than say somebody that's 60, 70 years old. If you want to learn about the past, then you talk to those people that have lived through stuff already. And that's why I think so many people have a hard time wrapping their mind around like I know people that probably my parents' age that they just like cryptos are like it's a joke. No one's ever gonna do this. NFTs, absolutely stupid. But I look at it and I'm like, no, this is a very real possibility that these things are going to be the future. But to them, it's like doesn't even matter. And then even like say somebody that's like 10 years younger than us, they're probably really sitting on that train thinking like, yes, this is the future, and I know it without a doubt in my heart.
Yeah, so, whereas we're kind of on that teeter zone between the previous generation and this.
Yeah, so it's like if you want to know like what's to come, ask the people that aren't living in it yet. But they're on the forefront of that. That's
a good point. I never thought of it like figure out the future from where the young people are at.
Yeah, and it not obviously not everybody's gonna give you 100% answer, but you can at least get a little glimpse into what the future is gonna look like. Like I remember when I was working somewhere and there's a woman that wanted to rent a Tesla. And she was like on her deathbed. I thought it was the coolest thing. They came in to rent the Tesla because she was like, my grandma doesn't have that much longer, but she's like, this is the future, and she wants to take a glimpse into the future before she goes. I'm like, that's amazing.
Whoa,
that's cool.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, she's not going to be here much longer, and she knows that like she thinks that this is what the future is going to be, so she wants to see it. Like, yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which is very unique for somebody of that age because we all know people that are in that age, and it's like you really get set in your ways. It's hard to teach a old dog new tricks, and you become you set in your ways.
Yeah,
this is how it's been forever, and
I
get attached to those things.
And I don't want to be that way when I'm older. And this is not to say like I'm not going to get set in my ways and I'm going to always be this or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I don't. I want to try to not get too jaded or closed off to things, which is a natural. That's how it naturally goes. If you don't get jaded or closed off to things, and you're probably a fucking idiot. Like you're probably really dumb. It's like if you're just like, oh, everything's great. Like you're probably pretty dumb if you don't at least like feel that or have reasons to be like jaded or things like that. But
it's all based off of experience.
Yeah, but also if you just live in that space of being jaded and not open to stuff, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like you're gonna miss entire like pieces of reality, like entire ways of living. Like I feel like right now I am missing like entire ways of living because I don't know enough about this stuff. But also like I don't know that much stuff about like the rest of the world either. Like the way that people are living all over the world. Like I'm like blocked off to entire sections of experience of reality.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I don't know. That's what always interests me about like traveling and stuff like that. So you get to see other pieces of reality. It's like, wow, I did not know about this.
No, and the culture and how people think and process things and go about their day is you'd have no idea.
Yeah, and you don't know until you go.
It's crazy, dude, that I think about this like you ever have neighbors that you live somewhere and you like never really talk to them?
Yeah.
They live an entire life and they live, they sit in a room that's adjacent to your room, probably 20, 30 feet away. Nothing about them.
Not a thing.
Always made me feel strange.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's even weirder when you live in like an apartment or something,
You're all in the same house.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
essentially.
Yeah. It's the same structure.
Yeah.
Huh. I never thought of, yeah. No, you do kind of think of it in passing, but you don't think of it
Why?
necessarily.
Yeah. Why do you think that like we're also like cut off? Like I've lived in a lot of apartments, and I don't want to like bother anybody or like really get to know anybody in those situations. You know, like I never made like an effort. Like I want to know everybody in here.
I don't know. It's like, do you think it's a recent thing?
I don't know.
It could just be once you get to like a certain size general population around you, you care less about that stuff because you can find the community not
Right there.
based on location. Like if you can
Yeah.
like if you can drive reasonably for 20 or 30 minutes, then like you can get to most of the people that you want to talk to, then like maybe it doesn't matter.
It's not a priority to meet. Yeah, your
Could
neighbors.
be.
That's true.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I want to do this year upcoming, and I started working on it, is getting into this like online courses space. So going to podcast movement this year was one of those like big eye-opening things. We've talked about it a couple times, but seeing the way that people are able to like create businesses from some of this stuff and generate a lot of money and do all these kinds of things. And then online courses, like taking a couple of these online courses, like I paid a lot of money to learn a lot of the stuff that I did, and I never thought that I'd be that kind of person. But I saw like a value in it, and
You wouldn't be the kind of person to take the course.
yeah, like I wouldn't, like I'm not a school person, like so you know, I wouldn't have thought that that would be something that I would like spend money on, you
Yeah.
know, but I did, and so for the past, I don't know, 4 months or so, I've been like racking my brain, like what could I teach people that I actually know how to do that I don't really see many people teaching, at least not the specific thing that I know how to do. And then I realized that it's this, dude. Like I figured out how to do all this by myself, like watching a bunch of different YouTube videos, buying all the wrong stuff, sending it back, wasting a ton of money, a ton of time, messing things up, getting it totally wrong, only to have to go back and spend fucking 8 or 10 hours editing something. And like, so I've figured that stuff out, and to be able to turn that into something that I can like sell,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, I think.
And the thing about all this too is I'm baffled by how much went into this. Like when we were talking, like, yeah, dude, let's do a podcast. Let's like just bullshit and talk about whatever. I'll be honest with you, man. In my mind, I pictured us sitting in 2 chairs, a couple microphones, hooked into a computer. Bada bing, bada boom, it's done. So like this, like actually, like this all stuff, man, is like it's amazing that you were able to put it all together and trial and error all this different equipment and this is like an absolute as professional as it gets.
That's the goal, dude.
Yeah.
Because when we were sitting in my dining room looking at all this stuff, I was like, how the fuck am I gonna get people to pay me professional amounts of money just to come to my dining room? Like,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna work. But I need to like get some of these things, because I wanted to be like the Joe Rogan experience. Like,
Yeah.
that I've been listening to that for fucking 10 years, dude. It's one of the coolest setups. I like the camera stuff. I think that that's going to be a big part of podcasts moving forward is the video aspect.
Well, it has to be. It's what separates like a good podcast from a great podcast. Like the second that our videos come up on Spotify, I was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
Right? Isn't it like
so cool, man?
Yeah.
It's a whole different experience. It's like just what we talked about. It's the whole package. You undo your records and stuff, and you look at the pamphlets and all this. It's an entire experience.
Yeah. Because then like people can be here, they can be part of the conversation. Like, I don't know, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
and that can lead to cool stuff. Like people wanting to come talk to us and teach us about things that we didn't know about, and that can then steer our lives. Like our conversation that'll come out in a couple of days with Neil and Brett.
Yeah.
Like that kind of conversation, that is going to be one of those conversations that changes my life. Like,
Dude, it had my head spinning. We talked about it before the podcast, how like important that was
yeah,
to like have that conversation, and it was just like it just happened.
yeah, dude. And if we weren't doing this, then we never would have had that.
You never would have met those guys.
Yeah, never would have met those guys. But also, like, I think, yeah, something about doing it at this level kind of made us like show up professionally, and like, well, we're gonna have him on the screen, and then we're gonna, have Brett here, and then it's gonna be both of us, and then so we've got the cameras, and then you have the Zoom piece of it streaming in as well. So it's like he's here for the listeners. Like, he sounds like he's not here, but he's here. If you're listening or watching, like, he's here with us, you know. And like, I wanted to set it up that way, but yeah, I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want it to be half-assed, dude. I wanted to just like do it right.
Yeah.
As right as I could with what I knew. And yeah, I think we've been doing a pretty good job.
I think so.
Yeah. So part of that stuff. So, right, I was talking about I want to get these X amount of customers to like expenses covered, right? So I could break even on a bunch of like my personal stuff and the business stuff. And then I want to explore this online courses stuff, because I think if I do it right, I can probably make a good amount of money, because as I'm looking around, I went through all these things. I had to bang my head against the wall a bunch of times to get all this stuff done and waste a bunch of money. And if I were to teach somebody how to basically set this whole thing up, and it costs like, I don't know, $250 or something, dude, I spent, by buying 2 of the wrong cameras, I spent more than that in restocking fees.
Yeah.
So I bought cameras and I returned them, and by returning them, I lost more than $250.
Yeah.
So if I can give somebody an entire list of all the shit they need to buy, how to set it up, how to use it, I feel like that's reasonable. And I feel like there's probably 1,000 people out there in all of the world that would be willing to buy that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think that's
a very reasonable assumption.
I don't think that that's crazy. So by breaking it down like that, if I can get my expenses like there taken care of, and then use this as a way to then like make some money in this, that'll kind of teach me how this space works, because there's a lot of money to be made in teaching people things. And when you look at a lot of these other, like the courses and the guy, the Poddex guy, like, I know the name's funny, but like, he puts out good shit. Like, if you're a podcaster and you want to learn some stuff, follow that guy's Instagram page. Legit, it's like every 3 days he puts something out there that you read and you're like, yep, gonna incorporate this. This will probably help me a lot. And it's basically, one of the things he said is, you don't have to be an expert. People don't necessarily need you to be an expert. They just need you to be further along than they are.
Yeah.
So if you can show people the path forward, then you can help them. Like, I might be more beneficial to more people because I'm not an expert. And kind of like that thing we were talking about of being able, like, being old versus young. Like, you don't have access to the youth anymore.
You're in that golden spot.
I still have access to what it's like to be a fucking idiot and not know anything about
You'll always have that.
Well, yes, but I still know what it's like to not know what I'm doing and being like totally like flustered and, well, I don't know. Will this make sense? Why should I buy this? This video says this, or this video says that. I don't know if I should buy that kind of thing. And then will that look kind of how I want it to look? And then blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, well, I totally get it. I do this. If you want to do stuff with multiple cameras and have it sound professional and look professional, here's what I use. Here's why I use it. And here's how I use it. Choose to get other shit if you want, because it'll still work. But like, if you want to just do it this way, like, here it is.
That's the cool part, though, about what you've done, and kind of going off and, like, beginning kind of starting by yourself and not diving into too many videos is that you've made those mistakes, because there's nothing better when you're trying to help somebody and they're like, well, I want to get this type of camera. And you can be like, you don't want that type of camera. And I know this because I had to go through all this, dude.
Yeah.
And then explain that process. And whatever, people take the advice, they don't take the advice. But it's, you have that background and you've used those cameras and you know that that's not the right equipment to get.
Yeah.
Versus just watching other videos of people that never had those cameras. They can tell you that those aren't the right cameras to get, or they might tell you that they are the right cameras to get and they're not.
Yeah.
But just having that experience, man, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Little by little.
And even just, it's like the teaching of stuff that I've done. I don't have to be an expert. I'm not claiming to be an expert. There's so much shit that I have no idea how it works. Like, there's probably 30 things in this whole setup that I don't fully know how they work, and I'll learn them over time, and then I could share that with people over time. And you can get other people to come in and share things with the people that took your course and build a community online and kind of, build up another stream of revenue. And then those people can teach you stuff and you can learn from them and they can learn from you. And I don't know. I want to create that kind of thing and see what happens there.
Is there like a you're familiar with master classes?
Yeah.
Is there like a podcast master class?
There might be, and there's a lot of online courses for podcasting, right? Get your podcast started. Do this, like start your podcast, start this kind of podcast. Here's what you can use. Here's the type of equipment, blah, blah, blah.
I started watching stuff, and there is like the microphone thing. Like there's 10 full pages, and they're all the same.
And there's
videos.
100 yep. It's like 100 videos of telling you almost the same shit.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do with this is like, I realize that running a multi-camera podcast production with like professional quality audio and like good quality cameras, there's almost nothing out there that goes as in depth as I want to go with this. And there's not many people out there that are answering the questions that will inevitably come up if you decide, hey, I need to do this because I want to start my own business. I want to start my own podcast, or like my boss wants me to do this or something. I don't fucking know anything about this. Where do I start? Dude, follow this. Here's a list of the equipment that you got to buy and run with it. So that's kind of the idea.
That's the thing too. Like a lot of these videos, they leave a lot of stuff left out that could be put in there. And I know that, like you said, you don't want to half-ass anything. And I know you're not a person that will half-ass anything, so a lot of your stuff is pretty in-depth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know probably more about that Rodecaster than 90% of people that own a Rodecaster.
That could be true. That's possible.
Yeah.
But then it comes back to that comparison thing, because I watch videos on YouTube where people are talking about these things from like a more in-depth technical audio engineer perspective, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know anything.
But you're always going to have those people.
Yeah. But then you watch some of the stuff they share, and you're like, oh, I got that. Like, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I can either use it for myself. I can help other people with it. I can refer people to that video. Like that resource is out there. So I want to create something like that where people can understand these things. I can make money from it. Like, definitely want to make money. I've got no shame in that. Yeah, this is not for money.
I want to spend money and then not make any money.
But no, I think so. That's something that I want to do. That's one of the things that I'm looking to do in the next year. I mean, do you have anything like that? Like, do you have anything that you're, I don't know, even if it's just an idea?
No. I mean, I want to continue like doing this every week.
Yeah.
Like no missed days.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's one thing that I've learned over this last year is like consistency is, if you have consistency on something, eventually you will accomplish whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, no, dude. Other than make
sure
I hit this every week.
Why do you? So, you were saying this as we were talking before, but like, why do you want to actually do this? Like, what? Why?
I think for twofold is one, it's probably a little selfish because I like to do this. It's fun. We get to meet up every Wednesday and talk about stuff. I get to learn all kinds of great things, and I get to research things. And then the other thing is like, I feel like eventually, or if we haven't already, we're gonna add some kind of value to other people's lives.
Yeah.
So I think some of this is it's very interesting stuff, and my eyes have been open to certain things we've talked about, and I think that if it's been open to me, I'm sure other people listening will enjoy it too. It's just fun, dude.
Yeah.
Having a good time doing it.
Yeah, dude. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in the same boat as I see other people. I see other people doing cool shit with their lives, and I don't know. I spent so much time in the past trying to like be like that person, or like wishing I had that, or saying like I've got to do it the same way. And now I look at other people doing stuff like that as basically like I can do that too. Like I can make that for myself. And part of us doing this is like making that for myself or for ourselves is I want to learn cool shit.
Yeah.
I want to talk to cool people. I want to not go to a job that I fucking hate. And that's what I'm trying to do with this stuff. Because it could ultimately fail and I have to go get a job or something like that. That's
Dude,
always a
we can
possibility.
still do this once a week.
Nope.
But yeah, I don't think that it's gonna fail.
No,
I have full faith that will take off.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Because I'm learning a bunch of shit too as we go through this, and
Yeah.
I think people will if people actually start listening and tuning in. Like we have a few people that listen like consistently, but I think if a lot of people hear some of the stuff, I think it can help a lot of people. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want
what
to be
I'm
like
saying, yeah.
like ideas of grandeur, but yeah, I think it can help people.
No, dude. A small idea can it can open the doorway for other things.
So part of that is finding like these online communities, and I'm gonna spend more time on Reddit. I think going forward to try to
We need to.
yeah, because I want to help people on there too. Like I've been in the podcasting groups. Like things come up where people ask questions like, "Oh, what should I do for this?" Or I'm thinking of starting a video podcast and blah blah blah. And so like I don't know, just helping more people there, and that'll ultimately lead back to the crash course that I'm going to put out,
Yeah.
and the courses and this podcast. Ultimately, it'll all help it grow. So
It's cool that you're finding different avenues. It's like almost
yeah.
the stuff is almost like, oh, that's common sense. Do this, but then you've infiltrated each of these into a degree that I think has opened the door for the next thing. Like, all right,
Yeah.
like Spotify, whatever. You started posting that stuff on there, and then we went to. Then you started getting the videos on Spotify, and then we just started going live on Facebook. It's like these small steps, dude, that if you wouldn't have started somewhere, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah, dude. And nobody watched the first live stream. Like there was literally 0 people that tuned in.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Whatever.
And then like one person tuned into something, and then I posted something, and the guy was like, "Hey, oh, actually, I may have posted something incorrectly because I posted something about that NFT project, and I don't think that's supposed to come out until next week." And somebody like commented on it, like, "Where can I learn more about this?" And so I think I fucked up, but
Yeah, whatever.
I shared the website for the Clean Lands project, and that's kind of cool. It was just like I think it was like some Indian guy or something like, "Where can I learn more about your NFTs?"
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Like, all right, cool. I didn't fucking expect that.
Oh,
but
great, Chris. You just lost one of our followers.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Pradeep. I did not mean to offend you. I'm very thankful that you are interested in this NFT project. Please come back.
I'm curious if you're listening to this right now. What has been interesting? Like, have you got any feedback on like, hey, this is a great topic. These things are cool. We like to learn about these.
No, dude, not really. And that's what I'm trying to get more feedback on. Like, I get a couple of pieces that people are interested in. Like, I was talking to an old buddy of mine, Dylan. He's like, I put out like a post like, what are you trying to learn more about in 2021? He's like NFTs and stuff, and he shared something with me. It's like an online marketplace. It's like an app. They have their own cryptocurrency, but you can basically convert that to other stuff. I think to Ethereum. And just by like me putting that question out of like, what are you guys trying to learn about? He told me about that, and I kind of got to learn a little bit. But No, not in terms of like what people are listening to and stuff like that. And I want to know about that.
Yeah.
That is the primary reason why I'm trying all these different avenues and everything. It's like I want to fucking engage with people. I want to talk to people. It's like if you guys have something that you like want to tell us or like give us feedback, like, dude, we've got so many avenues. Instagram, pod inbox, fucking
Nothing would make us happier than for people to start telling us what they want to hear, leaving some things on pod inbox.
yeah.
I am pumped for the day that somebody asks a question or leaves something.
Dude, me too.
It'll be the start of something new. So
Hell yeah. Dude, and you know who does that pretty well? There's a guy, his name's Tanner Campbell, and he's got this podcast called Podcasting Sucks. And he's been in the industry for, I don't know, probably 10 years or something like that. He is a fucking wealth of knowledge. And
Really?
that's what he does. He has a pod inbox. People like send their questions in. He plays it at the beginning of the episode, and then he answers the questions. And they're anywhere from like 5 minutes to 20, 30 minutes. And he puts out like one each work day. Like, so he's got 5 a week to go out, and it's super helpful shit. Like, I don't listen to every single one because it's 5 a week, but
yeah,
dude, that's how I found out about the Anchor stuff, like putting it on Spotify to get the videos on there, and I don't know, a bunch of other stuff that just like the younger listeners are on Spotify. Here's where certain things are happening. Here's like some apps that you can use. Here's what I think about certain kind of microphone or certain kind of setup, and like, and I left a voicemail and he played a clip, and I was listening. And I was like, shit, that's me, dude. That's cool.
That's awesome. It
Yeah.
was on one of his shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So that was cool. So I want to do more shit like that and just
Yeah.
get more involved with the audience.
Yeah.
So if you
I'm with
guys
you, man.
if you guys want to if you guys want to reach out to us,
Give us a call.
give us a call, you little bitches. Dude, what else? What else is there? Is there anything else that you?
All right, we've talked about what we. Dude, we always get off on these tangents.
Whatever.
We talked about what we kind of want to do. We've talked about what we have done. What do you think is going to actually happen with like the world next year or yourself? What do you like?
What do you? All right, you started off. What do you think's gonna happen?
As far as just like the biggest thing that I feel hear people talking about, like on top of like the COVID stuff, it's like supply chain problems. Like I think it's gonna get a little worse before it gets better, but I think, dude, like by the end of the year, I think we're gonna be rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
I think so.
I hope so.
That's my prediction.
Based on anything, or
No, I feel like people have got to be at least getting something figured out by now. Like these companies, like the trucking companies that can't get people to load the trucks. Like, okay, we've been doing this shit for how long now? Like,
yeah,
I'm not an expert on any of this, but it seems like if I was, that I would at least have like leaders. The thing a leader does is they always have a plan in place, whether it's going to be for like failing or succeeding. So I feel like there should be some stuff that should be getting better.
Yeah,
because it feels like it's been so long. So that's what I'm basing it off of.
good. Well, you're optimistic,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think one thing that I predict is that I think a lot of people are going to be doing more like virtual reality stuff. I think that's going to get pretty big in the next year. I think it's already probably big now, and I just don't know about it, and I'll get more aware of it and be like, look, my prediction was totally accurate.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to get more common, and that'll be weird. We'll see how that shakes out.
I'm with you. I thought about that too.
Yeah.
I mean, just with like the Oculus and the metaverse and all that stuff coming out, and people showing more interest. The younger generation, even below us, I think is really gonna run with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like think about like the kids that play Fortnite. They've already been doing that for a while.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're in it, you know, and they're okay with it. Like that's normal to them.
I think too that like another prediction that I have is that like people are gonna focus on things that matter more to them. So with everything that's been going on, like even you, that's whether you know you did it or not, is that like you left the job that you felt like wasn't right for you, and you started doing this. I think people are going to realize that more.
Yeah.
As we go on through all this, that they want to live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I think see part of what I see as some of that stuff is like I'm fucking super lucky that I was able to do that. Like I had the resources to do it. Like I had the time, the situation lined up. I didn't have anything that would like really like bury me if I were to do it.
That's not really luck, dude. I mean, you
But
you worked and you set yourself up to get to that point.
I set myself up to get there for sure. So, but like, so it's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, yeah, it just happened, but like I was definitely, I'm very thankful that all of these other things lined up that allowed me to apply this hard work and all these things. Like I'm very thankful that I had that. But what was I saying? What?
I was talking about how people will do more meaningful things. And then I said kind of like how you have done and started doing this, something that you enjoy. And then you said, I was lucky that I've got to this point.
I just wanted to tell everybody how lucky I am.
And then you looked at me and said, what was I talking about?
and then what happened?
And then.
No, and then. No, so I don't know where I was going with that, but I am very thankful that I had all that stuff like line up that I could do that. But it was a realization for me this year of like, man, I'm going down a path that I don't see like much of a future in, like, and all of these things seem like they're coming off the rails. Like, let me try to focus on the shit that is important to me. So I guess I did do that, and that kind of makes me. Part of that is looking at the different things that people say that are focused around like what crashes are coming, like economic crash and like inflation and all these things. And I think I don't have a prediction on that, but I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So I think some of the stuff I'm going to spend time learning is more about like how the economy actually works, what these different cryptocurrencies can do as like an alternate source, protecting money, what can happen with all this stuff, how to navigate some of this shit that's pretty unknown and navigate it as smoothly as possible. I don't know. So just learning about all that shit and try to set myself up for successfully making through whatever happens in 2022 with all of these kind of crazy things. Because this year was nuts and people are acting fucking wonky and things seem
wonky.
Things seem like, I don't know, I never would have thought X would have happened, or I never would have thought Y would have happened. So when somebody talks about like, yeah, they printed 80% of the money and the dollar's going to crash, and you're like, doesn't seem that crazy. So let me learn about this stuff and see how I can do that. And then,
dude, that's the other crazy thing too. That was the last thing on my timeline. So we did the 80% of our currency has been created in the last 22 months, and then a month after that, or 2 months after that, Bitcoin hit its all-time high.
Yeah,
correlation.
It could be. It could be like the sentiment that people are looking at is like, well, if that's gonna happen, I'm fucking getting out of this shit.
Yeah,
I don't know. That guy, the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy. Robert Kiyosaki's like, buy gold, silver, Bitcoin, and bullets.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, Bitcoin and bullets.
Bitcoin and bullets.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at some of that stuff too. I think part of it is too. I need to put some money into it and just like immerse myself. That's what I did with stocks and shit a few years ago, and then I learned a bunch of stuff, and then I realized like, wow, none of this makes almost any sense.
Yeah. It's a gamble, man. Everything's a gamble, but
yeah, and just keep moving. And I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. You have anything else that you're thinking of for next year? Or?
No, dude. I'm sure I will the second we walk out of here on my drive home.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing that I am gonna try to start learning about is this woo-woo stuff, the like other dimensions and shit. That I watched like a couple of YouTube videos on some of this stuff.
Woo woo.
Yeah, like
Spell it for me.
can you use it in a sentence, please?
Is it like WUWU? Woo woo?
No, I think it's like WOO, WOO, like woo-woo, kind of like.
Oh, that's not an actual term.
No, it's a term. I
Oh.
don't know that it's a technical term, but some of these things where people are talking about like other dimensions shit.
Yeah.
That stuff like fascinates me because I hear certain people talk about it and it is very much like, you know, when certain people talk about certain things, you're like, this person is a fucking
Whack
idiot.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
total wacko. And then sometimes other people will talk about the same thing. You're like, I can see where they're coming from.
But like you said, it's really based on their the way they present themselves and their background most of the times.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. I watched a video that was, like, scientifically breaking down multiple dimensions, and, like, there's, like, 11 dimensions, apparently. Some people say there's 26 dimensions, but I guess scientifically you can really only prove 10, but they think that there's an 11th one beyond that, and it has to do with height, depth, width. That's 3 dimensions, and then there's time is the 4th dimension, and if you were able to like live in the 4th dimension, you can like go forward and backward in time. But if with a 5th dimension, you can like be at any point in time. It like it messes with the like the theoretical way that things are, where you can't be A can't be 2 things at once. Like, it can only be this or that, and it like breaks that paradigm. It's like some of the
That
shit,
sounds interesting. That would be, yeah.
right? So like, if people are learning about this stuff and there's something they're like, man, I kind of want to learn about that shit and see what kind of stuff you can learn about the universe and reality. Like, I don't know, maybe that'll help me understand physics and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's where I'm at. So, yeah, you want to wrap this shit up?
So wrap it up.
All right, dude. You have anything else that you want to tell everybody before the end of the year? It's December 29th,
Yeah.
2021 when we're recording this.
No.
So,
Other than we appreciate everybody that's been listening and following and giving their input. Happy New Year.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. And, yeah, thanks everybody that's been along for the ride with us. This has been, it's been cool. I've learned a shitload. I mean, I think you
Me
have too.
Yeah. No, join us in the new year. Let us know what you think, what you want to hear about. If you want to get involved,
Yeah.
just let us know.
Yeah, we're going full throttle into this crypto shit. And
Yep.
all these, we're figuring out how the fuck to navigate through life for the next year. So,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
going to be fun.
dude, I'm pumped. There's gonna be some cool shit that happens next year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right, well,
All
thanks everybody. Happy New Year.
right. Adios. Happy New Year.
Peace.